Fine.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Mayor Pro Tem Britt Moore calling to order the Finance Committee meeting for Thursday, May the 29th. Before we get started, I want to apologize for my summer cold voice, but I'm not contagious. I'm in good shape there, just sinus cold. So if I sound more slow and more southern than I normally do, then you know what's going on. First item today is 2025-210, and we're going to hear from Virginia Baskins, Assistant IT Director.
Good afternoon, council member. I too have a summer cold, so I feel your pain. The agenda item before you is the annual renewal for our Cisco Duo multi-factor authentication licenses. Cisco Duo multi-factor authentication helps keeps the city infrastructure safe by enhancing the digital security and by ensuring only authorized employees can access city resources. The total cost for this renewal is $107,342.46. The renewal cost remains unchanged from the previous fiscal year. We recommend that the City Council approve the Cisco Duo license renewal through ART Technology Consultants under Purchasing Agreement NCPA number 1-96 and request authorized for the necessary signatures. Happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions for Virginia?
Yeah, one question, just curious. So it's 1,820 licenses.
Correct.
Is there any like overhead or just extras that, I mean, do we have exactly 18? I know we got more than that. It's more employees than that. I was just curious where that number came from.
So that is the number of employees and outside contractors like our vendors and stuff that
Okay.
need to access our resources.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else?
I don't have any questions, and I'll make a motion to approve item 2025-210.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Next, we're going to hear from Public Service Director Robbie Stone, and we'll begin with item 2025-211.
Thank you. The first item here is to receive approval to increase the purchase order amount for laboratory services provided by Meritech. Meritech typically helps us with some additional laboratory testing that we either are unable to perform, or there's some testing, for example, the PFAS testing, these mandates, unfunded mandates, I guess, that are coming through that we have to test. And so typically in the past, we have a contract with them to provide testing services up to $90,000, but with these additional tests that's being mandated, we're exceeding that amount. We're asking for an additional $10,000 to be added to that PO at this time. There are funds currently available for this, and we are requesting approval to increase that current PO with Meritech from $90,000 to $100,000.
Any questions on this item? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to approve item 2025-211.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Next item is 2025-212.
This is to utilize GEA Westphalia to replace the rotating assembly on the centrifuge number 2 at our East Side Wastewater Treatment Plant. This centrifuge was put in place in 2016. There's 2 centrifuges at this location. This current one or number 2 is currently non-operational. We did have GEA Westphalia come in and inspect the centrifuge, and they're recommending to replace the scroll and the bowl along with some other small parts and pieces instead of having to replace the whole unit. There is a 22-week delivery period for this. Funds are available in our current budget for this, and we are recommending to use GEA Westphalia as the approved sole source vendor to purchase this part in the amount of $578,236.
I've got a couple of questions. Robbie, on a centrifuge, what is is there such a thing in your industry as a life expectancy on one of them? This one's been in for 9 years?
Yeah, this one's been in for 9 years, usually 10 to 15 years.
Really?
So we're kind of bumping right up against that.
Well, if we're there, do you know how much the entire replacement is?
Entire replacement was closer to $1 million.
What does the consultant think your life out of this? I mean, we're paying 50% of that to do this.
We are paying 50%. This is the parts that we're replacing are a bulk of that unit. So we're replacing kind of the main parts and pieces there. So the consultants that we've talked to in GEA are saying we should get at least another 10 years out of this.
Does this type of stuff come with any kind of warranty? Being replacement, I wouldn't think it would.
There's a 1 year, a lot of times there's a 1 year warranty, and that's basically it.
But your experience tells you this is the best, I don't want to use the word gamble because the public will think,
Right.
This is the,
Evaluating the replacement, a full replacement versus repair, we feel that this is the best option.
okay. If there are no further questions, I'll make a motion to approve item 2025-212.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Next item is 2025-213.
This is for the sole source purchase of a recirculating pump for our liquid sludge tanks at the West Side Wastewater Treatment Plant. There are 2 liquid sludge tanks at the West Side plant. Each tank has a recirculating pump that helps to move the sludge so it doesn't become septic. This recirculating pump on tank 1 has failed and must be replaced. This will be a direct replacement, so we won't have to have any piping changes or any other upfits to fit this or to replace this. There is funding in the current budget, and we're recommending that Ibarra Hayward Gordon be approved as a sole source vendor for this purchase in the amount of $57,515.
Comments on this item? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to approve item 2025-213.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Next item, 2025-214.
This is to approve a task order with CHA Consulting for the professional engineering services to look at some inflow and infiltration defects within the upper Boulding Branch Basin. We do have a master agreement with CHA Consulting. The sanitary sewer master plan was developed back in 2019, and one of the areas identified was this upper Boulding Branch area that is receiving an excessive inflow and infiltration, often referred to as I&I. If we reduce this or eliminate this I&I, it's going to help take some additional burden off the downstream pipes, lift stations, and the wastewater treatment plant. So if we can keep the water or stuff out of the pipes that's not supposed to be in the pipes, it's less that we have to transport to the plants and treat at the plants. So this project will be a 5-year project. So each year they're going to look at different portions and sections and help us. They'll develop plans, and we'll take those to construction to make various upgrades to improve those areas. We do have funding in the current budget for this. This first year phase of this, we're recommending approving this for CHA Consulting in the amount of $98,570.
Any question? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to approve item 2025-214.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Robbie. Next, we'll hear from Bobby Fitzjohn, Financial Services Director. It's item 2025-216.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the Finance Committee. This is an item we bring every year to officially write off delinquent accounts that are more than 3 years old. So this is primarily utility billings. However, there are a few miscellaneous accounts as well. These funds were accounted for as uncollectible at the end of June 30, 2024. This is just the official writing off of those accounts. We will, however, continue to attempt to collect, if at all possible, through the North Carolina Debt Set-Off Program. If they come back and try to set up utilities with us again, we'll require them to clear the balance, that sort of thing. So we do occasionally continue to collect after that 3-year mark. There is a history of write-offs attached to the item. You'll see overall we do a great job of collecting at more than 99.5% of utility billings. So while it is a big number, the total amount that we bill and collect is much larger. Happy to answer any questions.
Just a small typo. There was 2016 and then 2 2018s and then 2019. I think 2017 was missed.
So that was actually, we wrote off 2 years in 1 year, so it was
2 years in 1
missed
year?
in 1
Okay.
year, and so we wrote off 2 fiscal years
Got
worth
it. All right,
in that year,
thank you.
yeah. But yeah, no, that's a good catch. I look at it every time I look at this chart.
Anything else? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to approve item 2025-216. There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bobby. Next item, 2025-224, and we're going to hear from Assistant Chief of Police, Rachel Giron.
Good evening. Mr.
Hello.
Council members. I'm here today to request the City Council to award a purchase order as a sole source to Lenco Armored Vehicles for the procurement of a Bearcat. Chief Cheeks has already approved the use of equitable sharing funds for this purchase. A little background, we did have an existing Bearcat that was purchased in 2013 from the same vendor that was also equitable sharing funds used for that purchase. It's approaching the end of its useful life at this point, and we wish to upgrade to the new G3 Bearcat, which will provide additional capabilities for officers. It has a much larger floor plan, some advanced tactical capabilities for our folks, and works more smoothly off-road in a better capacity. So many advantages over the one that we currently have. So we have talked to the vendor. They have a trade-in program for end-of-life vehicles, and the trade-in for that would provide us with $51,350 to offset the cost of the new vehicle, thereby leaving the total purchase price at $331,595. You have any questions?
Remind me, the one that we're trading is how old?
Well, it was purchased in 2013. So we're
2013.
looking at,
And for the
like
public,
12 years.
I've seen these vehicles out at different things, but for the public, what are these used for? And are they ever shared with any jurisdictions and other that surround us?
Yeah, absolutely. So they're used for mostly our SWAT tactical operations. So, for instance, if we have a barricaded subject, when we're getting our SWAT members close to the house, we need a protected way to get them in and close to that house so that if they're shot at, that we have some kind of protection for them. Inside one of those armored vehicles is the ideal way to do that because we know they're protected 360 as they make their approach to the house. The vehicles themselves have attachments such as rams that can be used to force open a door. Those rams can also deploy chemical munitions, water, or have outlets for audio and video so that we can attempt to communicate with individuals inside. The doors can be popped open and we can make approaches while people are behind the door. So there's a lot of things, and it's primarily as it's primarily a defensive tool, not an offensive tool. It's to protect our people as we're making those approaches to get up there. In the event that we had a neighboring jurisdiction that had a critical situation or SWAT team that requested our SWAT team to be activated or a backup assistance, there is a possibility they would request, the utility of our vehicle with that. We usually see that's more of a personnel thing than an equipment thing, but the possibility does lie for that.
Thank you for that clarification.
Absolutely.
Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to approve item 2025-224.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes. Thank you.
Good evening.
Next, we'll hear from Stephen Howerlick, our Budget Performance Director, and it's item 2025-215.
Good afternoon, thank you. This item is requesting an appropriation of funds out of the Landfill Development and Post-Closure Fund for the Kersey Valley Road Relocation Project. This project involved the realignment of Kersey Valley Road to allow for future expansion of the Kersey Valley landfill. Construction was completed in November 2024. There were some follow-up invoices after the main construction was completed. This project was funded by the Landfill Development and Post-Closure Fund. This fund is used for capital projects related to expansion of new cells and the eventual closure and post-closure costs related to the landfill. We're just basically setting up an entry to reimburse the landfill operating fund, which is where we set up the project to ultimately be paid out of this fund. We're happy to answer any questions. The total appropriation is a little over $4.7 million. We'd recommend approval.
Long-term project. Any comments or questions? If there are none, I'll make a motion to approve item 2025-215.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Stephen will give the next presentation of 2025-219.
Yes, this is a consideration of funding for outside nonprofit organizations for fiscal year 2025-26. The Finance Committee is responsible for reviewing applications and making funding requests to the full City Council. For the upcoming year, the city received 50 applications totaling $1,799,270. The historic policy has been to allocate the equivalent of 1/3 of 1 penny of the tax rate for these applications. For next fiscal year, that equals $465,804. Additionally, at times, ARPA-enabled funds have been utilized to fund nonprofit requests, either through applications or through kind of other requests as they come in. The remaining balance of those funds is $154,984. And I'll turn it back over to the Finance Committee.
Okay, thank you, Stephen. I want to make a couple comments on this item. As you heard, and it becomes routine, but this is always a challenge each year because we have so many great organizations doing good work in our community in areas that are needed. This is a policy that been around a long, long time. A lot of people don't realize it probably goes back into the 80s or at least the 90s when this policy came into play. This year we have a amount of right at $465,000, I believe you just shared was where we're at, and we had a 1.7 ask, so we're three times over. So that I say all that just to say it's a challenge to help direct these to where we feel like that the greatest needs will be met and short and long-term needs will be met. On the Madam Attorney, can I go ahead at this point? I want to address his comments on the ARPA piece, but can I do that separate after going ahead to accept this and take a vote on the nonprofit part, because they're kind of two separate things?
The separate ARPA-enabled funds?
Yes.
Handle that separately, sure.
Okay.
If your motion's going to be only related to,
The outside agency funding. Okay. You guys good with that? All right. And I'm going to make a motion to approve item 2025-219.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
and Chair, if you would just clarify in that motion, approving this is to approve the 1/3 of 1 penny of the tax rate amount?
That's correct.
Okay.
The outside agency funding, which works on the policy of 1/3 of 1 cent.
Okay.
Okay? There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. I just want us to be on record. We have, this committee has talked about, and many council members that are not even on the Finance Committee have shared some thoughts on the ARPA, the remaining ARPA money. And it mainly centers around 3 items that has to do with our High Point Public Schools partnership request. It has to do with a group called TEAM, which I believe works mainly out of Greensboro, but they do a lot of work in High Point on eviction-type notices and representation, and our Southwest Renewal Foundation, which we've been good partners with for a long time and will continue to be. I'm going to make a recommendation on those 3 items addressing the ARPA funds, as we call them, that we hold off until a little bit down the road when other budgets come in. Many of these entities get funding from multiple sources, and I think it will be in our best interest to go ahead and get our budget passed, then wait and see where the rest of the budgets come in, and then what we might do to best utilize and address our assets for these 3 items. But several members of council had asked about these items, and we want them to know that these will be addressed. So, is that okay?
So you want that to be a motion?
No.
or No, that's what I was
I
going to
just
say.
want that to be in the
I think it's fine for that
record.
just to be on the record.
Yeah.
Your motion is only related to the 465.
Yes, yeah.
Correct.
We
That's
we voted on that motion and passed it. This was just strictly a comment.
Great.
Because several council members had asked that of this committee, and we have taken that duly noted, and we feel like it's best, more prudent to wait on those, and we'll address those shortly. Okay? Is there anything else to come before council? Hearing none, we are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.